Think about this for a moment. What if one morning you wake up and find out that the US dollar is no longer the world's most powerful currency? What if oil, gas, and international trade are no longer dependent on the dollar? It might sound like a fantasy, but that world is already taking shape quietly, behind the scenes. A new group of nations is rising with one common goal: to build a global financial system where America is no longer in charge. They call themselves BRICS: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Together, they are rewriting the story of global economics. For nearly 8 decades, the US dollar ruled the world like an invisible empire. It shaped wars, controlled governments, and dictated who would rise and who would fall. But now, for the first time in modern history, that empire is being challenged, and the war that will decide the future of money has already begun. How the dollar became the king of the world. To understand this new war, we must first understand how the dollar became a weapon of global power. After World War II, the world was broken, economies were shattered, and people wanted stability. In 1944, a historic agreement known as Bretton Woods made the US dollar the world's official reserve currency. At that time, every dollar was backed by gold. That gave it real value, and countries trusted it completely. But in 1971, President Richard Nixon shocked the world when he ended the gold standard. From that moment, the dollar was no longer tied to gold, it was tied to belief. Soon after, the US made a secret deal with Saudi Arabia. Every barrel of oil in the world would be sold in dollars. That decision changed everything. Because oil was traded in dollars, every nation on earth needed dollars. That meant America could print as much money as it wanted, while other countries had to work to earn it. And for decades, no one dared to challenge this system. But deep down, resentment was building, quietly, steadily, until it finally turned into a movement. The birth of BRICS, the dream of a multipolar world. It began in the early 2000s, when the economist Jim O'Neill used the term BRIC to describe the world's fast-growing economies. But what started as an idea soon turned into an alliance. By 2009, these nations Brazil, Russia, India, and China officially came together. South Africa joined in 2010, turning BRIC into BRICS. Their message to the world was simple: no single nation should control the world's economy. Each country brought something unique. Russia brought energy and natural gas. China brought industry, manufacturing, and money. India contributed technology, manpower, and innovation. Brazil added agriculture and raw materials. South Africa connected the African continent. Together, they represented more than 40% of the global population and over 30% of the world's GDP. And when, in 2023, countries like Saudi Arabia, Iran, and the UAE joined hands with BRICS, the global financial landscape began to tremble. For the first time, there was a real, organized alternative to the Western system, led by the United States. What once seemed impossible was now taking shape. The dollar turns into a weapon for many years. The dollar was not just a currency, it was a weapon. When a country disagreed with Washington's policies, the US could simply use its financial system to punish them. It would impose sanctions, freeze bank accounts, and block access to SWIFT, the world's main payment network. Countries like Iran, Venezuela, and Russia felt the full force of this economic power. But something unexpected happened. Instead of breaking under pressure, these countries started to build their own systems. When Russia was removed from SWIFT in 2022, Moscow and Beijing began trading oil using the Chinese yuan. India started purchasing energy from Iran using its own currency. These small steps began to add up. Every new trade outside the dollar system was like a crack in the foundation of American financial dominance. And slowly, the cracks began to spread. The BRICS currency, a new challenger in 2023, a groundbreaking idea emerged during the BRICS summit, creating a common BRICS currency that could challenge the dollar. The plan was to design a currency backed by real assets like gold, oil, and rare minerals. Unlike the dollar, which is built on debt, this new currency would represent tangible value. Even the discussion of such a move sent shockwaves through the global financial markets. If BRICS manages to launch this currency successfully, it could permanently reduce the world's dependence on the dollar. Imagine oil being bought and sold in a new BRICS currency instead of dollars. Imagine international trade flowing through a system that the US cannot control. For many nations tired of being dependent on America, this could be the beginning of real freedom. That's why countries from Africa, Asia, and Latin America are now showing interest in joining the BRICS alliance. The tide is turning quietly, but powerfully. The US fights to keep control, the United States knows the threat is real. Behind the scenes, Washington is trying everything to maintain control. Interest rates are being raised, the dollar is being strengthened, and political pressure is being used to keep countries within the American orbit. But the truth is harder to hide. America's national debt has crossed $35 trillion. Inflation is rising. Trust in us financial institutions is weakening. Even some traditional allies are exploring alternatives. In 2023, France made its first oil trade in yuan. These events may seem small, but they represent a deep shift in confidence. The world is no longer afraid to question the dollar's dominance. And for an empire built entirely on trust, that's the most dangerous thing of all. BRICS isn't just talking about creating a new currency. They are building an entirely new global ecosystem. China's Belt and Road Initiative is connecting Asia, Africa, and Europe through massive infrastructure projects. Russia's SPFS and India's UPI systems are creating alternatives to Western-controlled payment networks. They are also exploring blockchain-based financial systems that don't rely on American banks or the SWIFT network. This means transactions could take place directly between countries, faster, cheaper, and completely outside U.S. control. The more these systems grow, the weaker the dollar's grip becomes. This is not just a currency war, it's a digital, economic, and technological revolution happening in real time. The balance of power is shifting, and the shift is permanent. The silent war has already begun. This war has no explosions, no soldiers, and no tanks. It is being fought through trade agreements, financial systems, and technology. Every new BRICS summit, every local currency deal, every new digital payment system, they are all weapons in this global economic war. And while most people are unaware, the effects are already visible. Fuel prices, food costs, inflation, everything around us is being shaped by this silent conflict. The old world order is fading away, and a new one is rising from its shadow. What began as a quiet rebellion is now transforming into a new era of global competition. The dollar's throne is shaking, and the world is watching to see who will replace it. The end of an era. The dollar created the modern world we live in. It built empires, it shaped global trade, and it gave America unprecedented power. But just like Rome, Britain, and every empire before it, nothing lasts forever. The BRICS movement represents more than just economics. It's about sovereignty, independence, and equality in a world tired of one-sided control. Whether BRICS succeeds or not, the message is already clear. The world no longer wants to be ruled by one currency, one system, or one country. The era of the dollar may not end tomorrow, but its decline has already begun. And in the years to come, we may all witness the birth of a truly multipolar world. If this story opened your eyes, take a moment to think about what's happening around you. Every global decision, every oil price change, every financial policy, they're all part of this silent war shaping your future. Subscribe to the channel if you want to stay ahead of the curve and truly understand the forces changing our world. Share your thoughts in the comments. Do you believe BRICS will really dethrone the dollar, or will America fight back harder than ever?